purpose of Freethought Forum is to be vigilant to the encroachment of religion into government and to educate the general public as to what a freethinker is.
My thoughts give me power.
No scholar can map them.
No hunter can trap them. No person.
Hello, welcome to Freethought Forum. I'm Fahringer, the producer and host of this show. I've always wanted to have some young people on, and finally today we're going to have a little mini reunion. I used to go to Thomas Jefferson too, and my two guests today are seniors, at Thomas Jefferson High School, my alma mater. That's wonderful. And I want you to welcome Eric Perez and Paul Arguijo. I wanted to talk about a multitude of things because I'm sure that you are aware that you can't pick up a paper without reading about teenagers, but I seldom see anything terribly nice about them in the paper, and I thought I would give you a chance to sort of speak out. This is called Freethought Forum, and I think it's time for young people to answer back to some of the adults about the problems that we have, so-called, amongst the youth of today. So, Eric, how do you see this gang problem that we're having? Are you aware of it in school? I mean, is there some activity there?
Not really. Thomas Jefferson, especially, has been there was written up in the paper that you walk the halls and there's guys brutally beating up on kids and stuff like that. It was written up on the paper. It was a story to the editor of the Express News.
Oh, yeah?
Right, and we read it and we were all freaked out, this doesn't happen, that you can't even walk the halls without getting brutally beaten by a gang.
And life is going on and nothing is happening.
Right, and so, that was really bad. And Thomas Jefferson's had a very bad,
bad rap.
Yeah. You can say.
Been given a bad reputation.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's a shame because
it's really a real good school.
Yeah, well, we got enough problems. I know that my other guest, unfortunately, wasn't able to make it today, and she was from Sam Houston, and they have had some trouble over there.
Yes.
So, in fact, it was getting to the point where some of the children were afraid to go to school. Now, that's a dreadful situation, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, I noticed today, I believe it was, the mayor is declaring war on cities' street gangs. And I deplore this situation where every time we have a problem, we're going to go to war and solve it. I don't think that's the way to tackle it. Have you all thought about this? I mean, do you know that whether or not you even know some gang members, and maybe you aren't, or I've heard that they are just quite at school that you wouldn't know the difference.
Right.
I mean, it's when they meet afterwards, I guess. Yeah.
If you see them during school, you can't really recognize them.
Yeah. So,
unless they hang around all together and there's some distinguishing mark or something they have that they all have, then you can maybe assume that they're in a gang or something like that. But if you just walk the halls, you can't really tell if he's in a gang or he's in a gang. You could be your friend, and you
still wouldn't know.
Right.
Unless, What do you think drives people or makes them want to join some of these destructive type organizations?
Most of the time, probably peer pressure.
Yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it? I had a problem when I was young because I was different. I didn't like the kind of music other people like it. I like classical music, and that set me apart right away. And I guess if I had been a different type of personality, maybe I would have been that way, that I would have succumbed and said, oh, I just love Stardust or something, but I couldn't. I just could never sort of fake it. I've never been good at that. But you think that's what it is? But who is the peer that starts it is what I want to know. Somebody has to have the idea.
It's probably some guy out there that wants to get an organization or a gang together. Yeah. So he starts getting his friends, and his friend starts to tell his friends, and before you know it...
There you are, a gang. Wish I could organize people to do programs here at the studio as well as they can organize gangs. I even thought of that. Why don't they do something like that? That would be a wonderful thing if they could get involved in something creative. Do you think these young people from... have a problem at home that makes them...
Basically, probably maybe they feel they need to be wanted in a group and stuff. Like football players, we hang together, we're together and stuff, so we can count on somebody.
Yeah, it's comforting, I think, of course, but I don't think I'd be terribly comforted to jump in a car with somebody and drive by and shoot somebody that I didn't even know.
That's all they got. That's all they have. That's why they just...
Most of the time it's problems at home or just...
And then they're making problems for somebody else's home
exactly.
or knocking off a loved one. That's not very, very good. Well, I think that it would be a good idea if we could get a whole bunch of teenagers together from different schools in town and write to the mayor and say, we would like to sit down with you and talk about the problems and see if we can brainstorm and come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about, don't you think there's an awful lot of emphasis on entertainment today? I mean, the kids are bored. Why would they be bored? Life is so exciting. There's so much out there to explore and learn about. Do you think, speaking of learning, that makes me think of something else I wanted to talk about, which was a general trend in education. Do you feel that your schools are satisfying your needs as far as education goes?
Yes, they are.
And you feel that you're getting the preparation that you need for whatever you're going to pursue later. Are you both going to college?
Yes.
Good, great. Where are you going?
I have no idea.
Don't know. Well, I always try to pump my husband's school. It's just up the road a piece, so. Well, that's good to know, because I going to Jefferson when I did, way back in the cave days. It was just newly built. They let you run around. It was very exciting, because out of junior high, you have to take the things they tell you. Is that the way it still works? Only you call it middle school now.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I went kind of crazy, when I got to high school, and they said, oh, you can go sign up for things. And so I went and picked art and glee club and fashion design and all kinds of wonderful things. I did have to take history and English and something else, a foreign language. I took French, which is so useful here. And that was silly, wasn't it? So I didn't take any math. And can you believe this, that they let me graduate? Nobody ever looked, ever checked. And I graduated from high school with not one shred of math since, that was bad. That's bad. So are they focusing more on mathematics these days? And
now they have it to where you have to take your classes, your courses, your English, science, and history,
and math.
You have to take 2 credits of each. Like, say, for instance, you have to have 3 credits of math, 4 credits of English, etc. Instead, if you want to graduate, in order to graduate. Then, after you have all your 4 English, 3 maths, 2 histories, etc., you can pick whatever you want.
Yeah, then you get to choose.
Right.
Well, they were silly to let me choose so soon, weren't they? Because, of course, I would never pick math. I was always afraid of it, and that's another thing. Did you all have any kind of math anxiety? Have you ever suffered from that, or you like it, both of you?
I don't like math very much. Geometry, I can't stand geometry. Barely whiz by it.
Well, I don't know how useful is it in the outside world. I'm sure there are some things. I'm illiterate in this subject of math. I shouldn't even be asking questions about it, for heaven's sake. Now, do you both play football?
Yes.
Oh, great. Oh, 2 teammates. Has that been fun, and is there any problem with that?
No, not really. It really brings everybody together.
Yeah, it gives you friendships.
Yeah, well, I wish
we don't need a gang.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why I'd like to see people go in that direction. And as I say, to look outside like this is Paragon lets you come here. They offer a course that lasts for just a day. It's about 8 hours or 6 hours or something, and you learn about the equipment, and then you get a badge, which I'm still waiting for after 8 or 9 months, but that's all right. I'll forgive you, Frank. And then you can come in and do your own programs, and the only expense that you'll have is the tapes. You have to buy the tapes.
Okay.
And I'd like you to spread that news at school, if you would.
Sure.
Yeah. And get maybe then people will stop doing all this silly stuff and get in here and do something creative and wonderful. Okay? Because this whole idea of this program was extremely selfish on my part, because I just was wanting to know how nobody ever writes a column about young people or lets a young person write a column. I think that would be a wonderful idea for the newspaper, don't you?
Yes.
How about both of you doing one? Maybe you could get somebody interested.
No problem.
Here's another thing. Now, I don't know. Have you been following this year-round school?
Yeah.
Because you'll be out. It won't
Right,
affect
it'll be
you.
out.
Yeah.
It won't affect me anyways. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, sure. How would you feel if you say you were just starting high school? Do you think this is a good idea?
Well, there are pros and cons to that. I mean, it'll be like when we come back from when we leave for Christmas vacation and stuff. Those 2 weeks, you know.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're all excited. You know, again we're back in school.
Yeah.
And it gets lame again, and then spring break. It'll be fun in a way, but then again, in another way, it'll be kind of. I don't know if I don't think I could
It's
handle
like
that.
going over and
Yeah.
over again. It's like when it's like the regular schools now, you can look forward to like 2 weeks off and everything like that. And then summer, 3 months. And this, it's year round and year round. You don't really have that much time off.
Yeah,
like you would do during the summer.
Yeah, you'll get more vacation time. But
Yeah, what would be the longest break in this thing? Nothing? I mean,
I think they said something about 2 weeks on and then 2 weeks off and then 2 weeks. And see, that'd be hard too,
Right.
because like me and him, we play football during the year and we can't work. So when
Yeah,
the
that
summer
wouldn't-
comes, that's 3 months of working.
Right.
And if we had year round, how could we work if we're going to school year round?
good question.
and it'll be bad. You know, what employer's gonna want? You know,
Someone that, okay, I can only work 2 weeks and then next week you can't have me and the next week after that.
right? It'd be kind of hard, and plus my employer is very I mean
Demanding.
He's very understanding about the fact that from from August all the way to December I can't work for
Yeah.
him because
Because of
for
school.
football. Right.
Well, there must be some way to get around that. I've never thought that quantity, well, here again, too, they're always saying let's throw money at it. Do you think that that would help really overall in the education, or what do you feel have you given it a lot of thought about what is wrong with education? Why are people saying our schools are failing us and the children are not getting the education?
I know some people
Problems
are just
at home. It starts at home,
some
probably.
people
Starts
lose,
at home.
losing
Well,
interest.
that leads me into my next subject, which of course is teenage pregnancy, and what a high incidence we have in this city of it, and I'm sure all throughout the United States. But I think when you say it starts at home, if you've got a teenage mother, she's still doing her growing up. How can she raise children?
Right.
I sort of thought it would be nice if there could be people like me. I'd be willing. I'd love to be a sort of surrogate something to somebody, and that there could be someone to help the families, you know, learn how to parent and how to grow up and help the children to be prepared for school, actually. So that but there's so much child abuse too that goes on, I think, for the same reason. Parenting is a terrible job. It's awfully hard, so I hope you'll be very kind to your parents. It's really tough. So I do wish that there would be some way that we could get some programs going, something involving the excitement of learning. Do you feel that you get that when you go to school here? Are you both from San Antonio?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So you've been all through school here.
Right.
Where were you in the beginning? Which first school did you go to?
Woodlawn Elementary.
Woodlawn Elementary. And did you go to the same
No, I
one?
went to Marhill Elementary.
How did you feel? Can you remember? Well, you ought to be able to. Now I can't, but you're young yet. Do you remember when you first started out how you felt? Were you happy in school?
It
You
was
enjoyed it?
exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Oh,
well,
good.
It always is.
Oh, good. That's wonderful. Oh, goody. Your teachers get high marks. And your schools, too. You want to repeat those again so people can sign up for those schools? Well, if we get that voucher thing, I don't want to talk about that because that's another subject. But do you think, now my husband has a theory that all people really don't. We always say everybody should have a college education, and he says that he doesn't think that this is so because some people just really, academically, they just aren't interested.
Right.
And it shows, even if they just squeak through. And I was wondering if you felt there should be some point at which kids are sort of, in England they used to do it, but maybe a little too young, where they would look at their grades and their overall performance and see if they weren't better suited for a trade school or something, a career in that kind of thing. I mean, after all, let's face it, all those things are terribly important. This world would be a rotten mess if everybody was an attorney. So, do they do that to any degree at all?
No, because like if you do that to someone, you can, lower their ego or something like that. Because you could tell them, okay, well, your grades are not good. I don't think you should go to college. Go straight.
Well, I don't think she's ever telling about you shouldn't go. But I know that there are plenty of people who probably wouldn't want to go anyway, and they're being kind of pushed into it, and they have interest in other areas. It's too bad we're not all just from birth know exactly what we want to be and what we want to do. It would help, wouldn't it? What do you all want? What do you want to be, Paul?
Electrical engineer.
A what?
An electrical engineer.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, good. And you, Eric?
Probably in business or something like that, because people say I'm good at making people, go my way,
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. How are you on checkbooks and things? I'm just thinking.
Pretty good, I guess.
I need a little help on things like that. I need a business accountant or something is what I need. Back to the gang things, how do you see us approaching this, that we could draw these people away from a destructive course? Where should we start? Earlier, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're starting
but
middle school, programs, no gangs and stuff.
That's good. I'm glad to know there's something going on, but there's something obviously missing somewhere along the line. As I say, I do think I liked Maria Berriozabal very much because she had such an interest in young people, and I felt that she could really get something going, and I think she would have been very happy to sit down with a group of bright young people and discuss the problems. Now, what hangs heaviest on your minds? Just you start and just tell me, Eric, what you think about in the overall picture of school and where you're going, and you have a pretty happy life, nice family, nice friend, football, lots of things. That's good going for you. Do you think there's any way that you could be instrumental in kind of getting some of the kids that might be, of course you don't know them, do you? You just said you wouldn't recognize a gang member.
Jefferson,
you would if he knocked you over the head,
At Jefferson, in all San Antonio Independent School District, we have a new program. It's called PALS, Peer Assistance and Leadership, and I was a member of it for my junior year.
That sounds good.
It's counselors give that teacher that runs that program. It's like, say you have a period, okay, like fifth period, the counselors give our teacher like names of students that have problems and stuff, and you go out and counsel them. It's not counseling. It's just like being a friend. Like, hey, what's the problem? And trying to boost them up. And we did that. They're helping out in a way.
That sounds like a real winner. Did you participate in that, Amy?
No, I didn't.
No?
But the only problem is that the teachers wants us to keep a journal of everything that we talk about, and it's supposed to be confidential. It's confidential. With say for instance, if he's in a gang and he killed somebody, I couldn't say it. Unless I in that sense, I would have to go tell the teacher, and the teacher would have to tell the principal. From there on, but I would have to keep everything confidential and everything like that. So it's a good program, and it helped. I helped 2 people from dropping out.
That's a great idea. Who thought that up?
I have no idea. I don't know.
It's been there for a while.
I like that.
It's been there for 2 years already. And last year was the second year.
It's going to the middle schools too.
Yeah, now it's going to the middle schools and stuff.
Well, how do you feel about jumping from one subject to the other, which I generally tend to do? How do you feel about, did you have any sex education in school at all? You did?
In 8th grade.
And nobody was yelling and screaming and saying, don't teach our children these terrible things? We're living in 2 different worlds, aren't we? I live in the one that I read about, that grown-ups write about. I want to read I want to read about the one that you all live in by young people. I think that's something we need to do. A newspaper section for the youth.
Right.
What a neat idea.
Just people shouldn't just jump into conclusions.
Right. Hey, I think we got something going here now. If we can just figure out how to do it. But I don't have any special influence. But we can certainly, maybe through the schools even, you could suggest things, and maybe the teacher could say, well, let's call the Light or the Express or the whatever and see if we can do something. Get the contributions could come from the English classes or something.
The people who write the school newspaper.
Yeah, sure.
School newspapers.
And have at least a page. In fact, I was looking through some old papers the other day, and there used to be a whole page, and this was in Express News, and a whole page of things geared towards young people, which I thought was interesting, and that was back in the Dark Ages before World War II. So,
Wow.
yeah, in fact, I think about the time of World War I. Do you feel that you've had a good history? I worry a lot about civics courses and history because I find that people in this town are so abysmally stupid about the separation of church and state, which we have, whereby government doesn't mess in religion and religion doesn't mess in government, except here it doesn't work. Religion messes in government all the time. And I just wonder if you feel that you had a good grounding and also they don't understand the difference between the settling of the country and the founding of it. So you feel that you had a pretty good overall historical background to know your...
From what I can remember, yes.
That's good, but that's important because without that, you can't be a good citizen.
Yeah,
Right.
And
exactly.
and neither one of you wants to go into politics, huh?
Well, you never know.
It needs cleaning up. I think you ought to get out there and do something about it. The trouble is the money situation now is so bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you all talk politics very much in your school amongst yourselves
sometimes,
about your
not really.
president and
Oh yeah, well during the war,
the
we
Persian
were,
Gulf War and all that?
during Persian, we were saying it was a joke, and like the football locker room, they just wanted to clean out the one generation, you know, like World War I, you know, they had their generation wiped out, you know.
Yeah, right.
You know,
It's time to
lower
do
it.
another
It's time to do
one.
another Our
Yeah.
generation had to be, you know, a little less.
That's
wiped out.
another thing that fascinates me about this war, attitude towards war. It seems that immediately religion got into the picture and everybody was praying for peace, but in the meantime we're out there killing people. And they're always screaming about the right to life, and then as soon as they get to be 18, put a gun in their hands and go off and get their brains blown out. Doesn't that seem kind of an odd attitude?
Yep.
Only in America.
So, well, what are some of the other things that you all think about and talk about and do for, what do you all like to do for entertainment and movies?
Yeah,
That's
basically.
the only thing we have time for because
Yeah.
we work. And stuff.
Working
Well, I
most
think
of the time.
that's good. I mean, because I think eyeball entertainment, it gets kind of old after a while, and I think we put entirely too much emphasis, and I think that's why people are bored or spiritually starved. It's because they're not, you know, nothing is happening up here.
We also go bowling and miniature golf and stuff. It's pretty fun.
Just to get out
Uh-huh.
instead of going to the movies or staying home watching TV all day long.
But you know, I had an advantage that you all don't have. Well, maybe you do get students get in free, I don't know, but museums didn't used to cost money, and zoos didn't used to cost money. Now everything costs money.
Yep.
Do zoos and
Yep.
museums?
The zoos are like $5
now.
to get
Ooh,
in.
that's terrible. But see what a source of excitement and entertainment those things are, and information and education. I mean, education doesn't just stop when you walk out the school door. In fact, I never felt it started until I did. It was too restrictive. But you all have had happy school careers, and I'm happy to hear that. That speaks well of my old school. So, well, I'm sorry we didn't have the female perspective too, but as I say, this will give you something now for the rest of your life. You can say, well, women just aren't dependable. They don't show up. Well, talk to me some more about your activities in school and how your subjects go. What are your days routine? Is it pretty much like I remember where first class, second class, third class lunch?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and then do you have a class right after lunch where you could just put your head down on your desk?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's rough,
Hasn't
isn't it?
changed.
Still the same.
Nothing has changed there.
Right.
I do think you're speaking well of things don't sound as dismal.
No, it isn't. They just.
It's just way over.
Well, what is all this problem that everybody says education
It's like
is
one
terrible?
one thing happens in the school, and it carries on, and before you know it, it's something bigger than it was in the school.
Well, I wish I'd like to come and sort of visit or something. You suppose I could come next year and visit?
Sure.
Bring the
Oh,
mayor
that'd be
also.
fun. I mean,
Say,
it's
bring the
my
mayor. Bring the
school.
mayor so you can see.
Bring
how,
the editor.
Yeah,
You know,
really. I think you ought to get out and stop going to so many churches and go to a few schools. I think that would help the situation. And also, as I say, a nice brainstorming session with a few young people might give some inkling. I think this program that you were talking about sounds so excellent, and why couldn't that be broadened?
Right.
It's just in the San Antonio Independent School District at this time right now, so far. So I think
Okay, it
they're
hasn't
moving.
spread
I
to
think
be-
it's only in the San Antonio Independent School.
I certainly like
But
it.
it's real nice. I mean, because like we have workshops where we go and people from other schools. I don't know if it's from other schools and stuff. They tell us, they give us lectures. Like, okay, say this guy tells you he's on drugs, okay, and it's a teacher, a doctor talking to us, about it. So it's real nice. And at the end of the year, we have a dinner for us and tells us, thanks for being supportive to our students that need help and stuff. It's real nice.
Yeah, that ought to catch on like wildfire and go all the way
Yeah,
through.
I hope it does. It's a good program. I felt good, being part of it.
What did you say it was called again?
PALS, Peer Assistance and Leadership.
Ooh, I always have such a hard time with acronyms, but PALS I can remember the PALS part. I won't remember what it stands for. Well, tell me, I wanted to talk to you. I've done a couple of shows on this, which is the paddling of school children. You never had any experience. That's
I had in elementary.
elementary. That's so
When
young.
it was still
Legal.
when it was legal to use it.
It's still legal. I hate to tell you.
Well, when it was I guess something big to do instead of just telling the
A
person.
ritual.
Yeah, it was the only form of punishment, I guess.
How old were you when?
I was in the 5th grade.
Did you go to the principal's office or
No, it was in a classroom.
in a classroom? What did the teacher do?
Oh, because we were it was during health class, and me and my friend were across from each other, and we had to be absolutely quiet. No one's talking or anything. So we were studying, and all of a sudden, he asked me something, and I answered him back, and we started talking. And she saw us, and she brought us up to the wall, and she got us like about 11 times each.
11 times?
About 11, I can't remember. It was real quick.
Wow. Wham, wham, wham.
Yeah, it was real quick. I wasn't counting.
Did this sort of cool your ardor about the school? I mean, did it make you afraid to go back or anything? Or
No, I
maybe-
didn't just like the teacher anymore.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be too terribly fond of a teacher that whacked me. That has been a subject which I consider that it'd be interesting to know about gang members if they have had. I have a theory that violence breeds violence.
Right.
So, do you have any little last minute things to say about?
Yeah, like you said, violence leads to violence. Like cops really overdo it. I mean, the cops massively overdo it. Like I was driving my car in the movies, and it was raining, and it was a standard. And I went back a little bit, and I just pressed the gas, and I guess I caught an oil slick or something, and it started going.
And
it started
the wheels
going.
spun.
I just went parked, perfectly fine and everything like that, and then lady cop comes up, opens the door for me, and pulls me out of the car and tells me,
Really?
"How dare you?" and all this stuff, and I'm like, "It was an accident. I don't want to hear about no accident."
See?
So it's usually cops, really.
Because you're young, and there you are. Well, can you believe our time is very nearly up here? But I think that's most unfair. But this is the way we do. We lump people together. Well, once again, it's time to say goodbye from Freethought Forum. And I want to thank our guests one more time for coming. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
And give my regards to Tom Jefferson.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think as I please, and this gives me pleasure.
My conscience decrees, this right I must treasure.
My thoughts will not cater
To duke or dictator, no person can deny. Decadunk sin